Hello everyone, I'm Ariel with Urbanist.
And I'm Jen from the Travel Women.
Exploring the history, food, and culture of cities all around the world through Facebook Live. And the reason I love doing Facebook Live is because I want you to feel like you're there in the experience with me.
That's so great. And what made you choose Facebook as your platform?
That's great. Well, first of all, the only two competition when Facebook Live started was Meerkat, YouNow, and Periscope. Meerkat was kind of already getting phased out. People were stop using it, and then YouNow is very low, teen oriented. People are just mostly talking to themselves alone in their room. And Periscope, the reason I chose Facebook versus Periscope is because with Periscope, you're anonymous. You can choose any username you would like. So you have a bunch of people that you don't even know who they are. And sometimes they don't even put their profile picture, so you have no clue who they are. Secondly, you can't scroll through the comments.
That's very interesting.
So that's why I chose Facebook, because Facebook, I can actually scroll up and down through the comments, and also I can see the person's name. So every time I say their name on the broadcast, it's all the more special, because the moment you hear someone's name, when you hear your own name, it kind of gets you more hooked.
Yeah, and so there's a whole process to this. Can you talk us through, from start to finish, what is it like to do an actual Facebook Live?
Oh, 100%. Facebook Live, how to do it? That's a great question. Well, it's just all going live.
Yeah, it's an interesting process because you click live and then there's no editing involved. You just jump right in. And how do you avoid those moments when some people get camera shy and things like that? How do you feel that you fill the space and continue the conversation?
Well, the thing is, I started being camera shy from the very beginning. I tried vlogging before I did Facebook Live, and I found it awkward as hell.
Yes.
Because talking alone to a camera is a very challenging endeavor. But the moment I tried Facebook Live and I had people watching and commenting, I felt like I had an audience. I didn't feel like I was talking by myself. And I didn't start interviewing people, so it was just all me. Now, my very first few months of Facebook Live was just me exploring the city. Maybe once in a while I had a guest, and that was because I already knew them and I already had a good rapport with them, so I would chat with them. And sometimes I would just have random people chat with, but that was very rare. I was by no means humans in New York style.
And then what are your tips for creators starting out in the very beginning when they're first starting out? What are some of your top tips of what to do and what not to do?
Oh, that's a big question. So first of all, why Facebook Live? I think that's the biggest thing, is people think that Facebook Live can be treated as a TV show. No, TV show, if you want to film a TV show, go on TV or put it on YouTube if you want to make just a video. But Facebook Live is all about that interaction, that the audience is a part of the experience. So I think what makes a true Facebook Live is that somehow either A, you're experiencing something in real life with other people, like music or like a DJ set, or B, you are interacting with the audience as the host.
Awesome. And you use the word host. I'm so curious. What is the word? YouTube, we have YouTubers. Instagram, we have Instagrammer. What do we call a Facebook Live person?
I'm a Facebook Liver, but not liver.
Not liver.
I would also say live streamer, but live streamer also kind of applies to, it's mostly to people who just either chat by themselves or do video games. Okay. So for me, I don't know, I just say I'm a video maker.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And then what are some of your favorite moments and what are your funniest, worst moments caught on tape?
Well, first of all, favorite moments. One of my favorite moments is covering the history of Roosevelt Island. So to give context, what I do is 1 to 3 hour walking tours of landmarks, neighborhoods, or restaurants, and museums and other locations. And one of my favorite tours was doing Roosevelt Island, where it has all this amazing history and has these ruins in the middle of New York City with a very creepy history. So everyone was really intrigued when I was telling it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so full of history, and you love to talk about the history. And what drew you first to history?
Oh,
To differentiate your...
I've been reading history ever since I was like 8 years old. I would like constantly spend time on Wikipedia. Like instead of playing video games or being outside, I would just like read history and geography. And I like would go on Lonely Planet because Lonely Planet at the time had a huge directory of all the countries and all the stats about those countries. So I literally read every single stat for every single country.
Amazing.
So even today, if you were to ask me to point out a country on the map, I most likely will be able to point it out.
Ooh,
and tell you
challenge.
some of the stats. Yeah.
That's so great. And do you have any inspiring live streamers that actually inspired you?
Actually, no. I did not consume live video before doing live video. My inspiration comes from two different people. Casey Neistat, the vlogger. Actually, three. So Casey Neistat, the vlogger, mostly because a lot of the shots I do come from vlogging, from especially Casey Neistat's work. The second one is the movie directors that do movies that are mostly one take or very long takes. So like Alfonso Cuarón, who did Children of Men. That movie is a bunch of very long takes that are like 10 to 15, 20 minutes long. Or Birdman, which is, it feels like one entire take. And just seeing those movies, I think, are more immersive because they don't tell the story through editing, they tell the story through motion. And that's how they get all the drama. And then the third is podcasters, specifically the Bowery Boys, who cover New York City history. And they're just nerding out on New York City history unabashedly. And people love to listen even though they're not from New York City. So that's why I started covering cities, because I love cities. And I think whether it be New York or Paris or Rome or Tokyo, people will love to learn about that history because it's just good stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
And tell me more about your goals for Urbanist. Where do you see it in the future?
Where do I see it in the future? I want to become the National Geographic of cities.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of travel content creators focus on the nature and the waterfalls and the beaches and the glamour or the ruggedness. But I don't care for any of that. I want urban. I want history. I want to learn about people. I want to walk in the middle of amazing architecture. I want to immerse myself in coffee shops and bars and beautiful museums. I love cities. And I think cities are the future because according to National Geographic, by the year 2050, 75% of the human population is going to live in a city, which is a gigantic number. Right now, it's 25%.
Wow.
That's a huge increase. That means everyone's going to be looking for content to find out what is going on in the city and what's worth it about visiting a certain city.
So how do you prepare for live streams?
Oh, so the preparation of a live stream, I think a good live stream is any place where you can spend a prolonged period of time, because I think live streamings don't really work if they're only 5 minutes, unless if it's something quick and fast, but generally the longer the live stream, the better. There's two reasons for that. The first reason is that you want to have space for people to come in and come out. The nature of Facebook Live is that people are coming in and out because they're just browsing through the phone, they see your live stream, they might pop in for a minute, they might pop in for 10 minutes, they might pop in for 3 hours.
So do you sometimes reintroduce the subject?
All the time.
That's really helpful.
So what I do is try to find a story around a place I can walk around with and kind of get deeper into it and find all the little details. So I try to find the story. Right now for Urbanist is the story of a neighborhood or a landmark or a restaurant. And that story could be a bunch of things, but I usually lean on history, and in restaurants I lean on the food and the people. And I think the other part of preparing for the live stream is finding the story, thinking about where I'm going to walk into place. So I try to stick in a place. So for me personally, I think what makes Urbanist stick out is that I make a story out of a place. So if I'm doing a neighborhood, I try to stick to a neighborhood or part of a neighborhood that has a specific story to it. So here in New York City, the East Village, I stuck to, East Village is kind of broad, there's a lot of different areas in the East Village. So I decided to do a live stream of just St. Mark's Place and cover the entire history of just St. Mark's.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I just researched the history by reading by listening to podcasts and reading books.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the physical aspect of it. What is the gear? What types of things do people need, or what do you recommend to make sure that your battery is always charged, to make sure that you're all set and smooth footage and it looks, the quality is even better?
Oh yeah. So what I use to make all my live streams very efficient and last for a while, I do them all on the phone, and I use a battery pack case. And the battery pack case is crucial for being able to walk around and live stream for a prolonged period of time. Without this, I can only live stream for an hour. And you might be thinking, oh my God, an hour is so long. Holy shit, how are you doing a live stream that long? How can you speak for that long? You don't have to speak for that long.
That's true.
It's natural to you can just show a space. You can be silent for a while, especially if you're doing it outdoors. I think the other important thing is to get an audience. And
how do you get an audience? How do you develop an audience for live stream?
The way I do is through collaboration or through asking for a share. So collaborations are easy if you're collaborating with an organization. For me, I collaborate with Central Park, with Brooklyn Museum, Transit Museum, many other museums and restaurants, and they share my content when it's live. So I can engage with their audience along with mine and get more followers that way, get more views.
Do you have any tips for reaching out to them?
Cold email. Just cold email.
Cold email?
I think the moment you end up getting 3 great collaborations or 3 great organizations, you can use that as a nice name drop for the rest of your cold emails.
That's perfect. Awesome. And I also would love to hear more about your gimbal.
Okay. So the one thing I use to stay steady is my gimbal, my Xeon Z1 Smooth. There's like newer versions now, and you can also get the DJI Osmo. But regardless, gimbals are amazing because they keep the footage steady, which is very important in a live stream, especially if you're walking around. Because if you're shaky while walking around holding your phone, naturally you're just gonna shake. That kind of disorients people and they don't feel like they're a real immersive cinematic experience. To me, live streams are movies.
That's awesome. It's a 2 to 3 hour movie. It makes sense.
It's a 2 to 3 hour movie. To me, it's not just a video or just a tour. It's a film. You are watching it to feel immersed for a prolonged period of time.
Awesome. And how do you help that immersion? How do you help people feel a place that are not physically there?
I do. So I think I can't rely on editing. Just like you can, like in a YouTube video, yes, you rely on editing. A movie, you do the same. But on live stream, it's all motion. I think you can tell emotion through motion. And that's how I end up really conveying to people a sense of wonder. So for example, if I'm covering the Flatiron Building in New York City, it's this gorgeous triangular building, and I can easily just point the camera up and just talk about it for 10 minutes. But what I do is do a slow pan up and then around and down to myself and then start talking about it, because I call that the wow shot. Most times when I do it, there's at least one person, and usually it's multiple, clicking that wow face button on Facebook. Because it's just that sense of wonder. Because think of this, when you are looking at something great, when you're looking at the Empire State Building, you tend to look up and then all around because you're like comparing everything around you, and then you look down. It mimics the human eye, so it makes you feel extra immersed.
Wonderful.
The other shot I do is the walking with a friend shot. So I literally walk around when I'm crossing the street, for example, well, always being safe. When I'm crossing around the street or walking through a park, I put the camera right next to me as if you were right next to me, walking with me. And that gives people a sense that they are there with me. because they're watching from the point of view of someone who's next to me.
And can you talk a little bit more about monetization opportunities?
Oh, so Facebook has a bunch of opportunity for monetization. I think the greatest thing about Facebook is, I think the greatest thing about Facebook Live is that you can immediately interact with your audience. You immediately get you immediately are able to get feedback from your audience. They tell you what they like, what they want to see, what they think about something, the story they had about or experience they had in relation to something. So in terms of monetization, you can't directly monetize Facebook Live. You can, but it's a mid-roll ad, which is not so engaging. But it's cool if you're able to cover places and products that you can integrate into your Facebook Lives, and then I think it's more engaging than the actual video because you're actually using it and the people are seeing there with you at the moment using it.
So new creators might run into some struggles. How do you recommend that they navigate this new space?
Get an audience. That is the hardest challenge with Facebook Live. Is Facebook Live is a lot harder if you don't have an audience. If you don't have an audience, then you're just doing the vlog that's unedited. So I would recommend finding a bigger partner than you. Ideally someone who has more than 100,000 followers. And there you can really kickstart your audience. And that sounds insurmountable, but it is easier than you think. Just think of a great public place nearby you, a big creator you might know that's big on Facebook. Anyone, an interview maybe with a celebrity or someone of high stature. There's many possibilities out there to get yourself an audience first, and then once you start getting that audience, Facebook Live will become easier because when people start commenting, you'll have content to make because you're talking to people.
The internet, unfortunately, is full of hate comments. How do you address this?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think, as I mentioned with Periscope, everyone's anonymous. Same thing with YouTube Live. And that anonymity, I mispronounced that name, mispronounced that word, but that being anonymous it gives people the permission to give hate comments. It makes it very easy for people to troll. But on Facebook, there's two benefits. One, it's a person's real name and real photo. And generally, people don't like to troll when they know that their families and their friends will be able to see that troll comment. So the chances are a lot lower because of that. If someone does troll, the beauty of Facebook Live is that you can ban them while you're doing the Facebook Live.
That's pretty great.
And it takes only 2 clicks. So you press and hold their comment and ban them immediately. The comment disappears. And by doing that and being very vigilant when you're doing a Facebook Live and banning any hateful comment the moment it pops up, trolling is going to be at bare minimum. And I know there's different groups of people who might get trolled more than others, but Facebook, in my opinion, from my experience, allows the best way to curate your community and have a very positive live video experience.
And tell us more about your audience. Who is your audience usually?
Oh yeah, my audience is just they're all over the world, but it's mostly based in the US and Europe, and anywhere from the age of 25 to 55. And it's mostly people who just love traveling, love learning history.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
Cool.
Ariel. This has been such a great conversation. Definitely check out Urbanist on Facebook.
Yeah, search Urbanist Live on Facebook. And you can find me on Instagram and also Twitter with @UrbanistLive.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Awesome.
That was amazing.
That was great.